Sorry. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Vivekananda Acharya. His Divine Grace, Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaur Pinandi Hari. All glories, all glories, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Something there. Hare Krishna, all of you. Hare Krishna, all of you. Before I started, just wanted to, such a nice reclusive chanting. It was wonderful. Kirtan one thing I need to instruct you. During the last part of the group prayers, there was an insertion before the last verse, and for the last line, something like I forget what is something about Prabhupada, whatever you said is. So this was something that also was happening during our time when Prabhupada was present, and then he heard it, immediately stopped the whole thing, and corrected us that this had been written by the great Acharya, Narottam Das. Who are we to insert something in his writing? So after the entire, bhajan is completed, then you can say what you want to say, Patitavana, Srila Prabhupada, Jagavaru, Srila Prabhupada, whatever it is you're going to say, but only after completing the verse written by whoever, because sometimes this may happen in other things. So it's just like we're reading the Bhagavatam, the translation, and we suddenly think it's, and we put that in there. No, you read the whole translation, and then you read the purport, and when you speak, then you can add. So we leave intact the words of the previous acharyas. So 327.4, understanding material nature, word by word and translation. Arte, real cause. He certainly. Avidyamani, not existing. Api, although. Samshitihi, the material existential condition. Existential. Na. Nivartate, does cease. Dhyayata, contemplating. Vishayan, objects of the senses. Asya, of the living entity. Swapne, in a dream. Anatta, of disadvantages. Agama, arrival. Itta, like. Somebody has your phone. Look up in the dictionary what the dictionary says about existential. In the thing, Samskriti, Prabhupada is described the material existential condition. So I want you to pick up the translation for existential. We'll go back to it. Arte hi avidyamani pi. Arte hi avidyamani pi. Arte hi avidyamani pi. Samshitirna nivartate. Samshitirna nivartate. Samshitirna nivartate. Dhyayato vishayanasya. Dhyayato vishayanasya. Dhyayato vishayanasya. Swapnena tavamokshita. Swapnena tavamoyata. Swapnena tavamoyata. Artehi avidyamane pi. Samstitirna nivartate. Dhyayato visyanasya. Swapne natavamo yata. So did we find the meaning? Okay, pretty fast, okay. So, yeah, how many here know the meaning of this word, existential? So, when you're reading Bhagavatam or any book, related to Krishna, and you come across a word that you don't know, very important to find out what it means, because it's written right there. Here we're, so it means we're missing part of the information that we're supposed to be learning. You see? So, and sometimes Prabhupada is using English, using it correctly, but it's in a way that, he uses highlights. This word, it's a common word at one level, but like we just see, not everybody knows. We kind of have some idea, but we don't know. So, of relating to or affirming existence, existential, it means of relating to or affirming your existence. So another one is grounded in existence, or the experience of existence, or being in time and space. So during my younger years, this word was being thrown around quite a lot, late 50s, early 60s. Some people, not a lot of people, but they were questioning our existence. What does it mean? What are we supposed to, it was the right thing you should do. So these questions and the answers to that question, we can call it existential discussion. And there was even people called existentialists. This was their only interest. What does it mean? What are we? What are we supposed to be doing here? What is my existence about? So again, when you're reading these books, when you're reading the translations or the commentary, very important. If you don't know a word, right away look it up so you get the full understanding. And actually, I remember His Holiness Ramapad Swami was telling one time how the very first book he ever got was on people were doing a book distribution. He got Brahma Samhita. This is not exactly a minor detail book. It is purports by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, very high level, and he was using words in English like very high level detailed words. So when Maharaj, who was a very educated person, he started to read these books, oh my God, but he was interested, so he took a dictionary and sat right next to him, and he was going back and forth. And then he was, in his words, he was blown away by the readings and the information and the knowledge that was pouring out of this little book, Brahma Samhita. But if he didn't bother to look up the words and understand the meaning, it would have just been what I call a page turning. I don't get it. I'll just go to the next page. So now we have such easy, we've got our little phones, check it out right away, so you get the full knowledge and understanding. So, and somebody wants to chant for this.
Dehi avidyamaneti samskrite na nivartate yayato vishayasya
Artehi avidyamaneti samskrite na nivartate Ayato Vishayanasya Swapnena Yata.
Anyone else like to chant? Anyone chant?
Dehi Avidyamani
So the translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence. But because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existence condition, his material existential condition does not cease. And just as in a dream, he is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. Purport. The example of a dream is very important, appropriate. Due to different mental conditions, in dreams we are put into advantageous and disadvantageous positions. Similarly, the spirit soul has nothing to do with this material nature, but because of his mentality of lording it over, is put into the position of conditional existence. Conditional existence is described here as Dhyayato Vishyanasya. Vishaya means an object of enjoyment. As long as one continues to think that he can enjoy material advantages, he's in conditioned life. But as soon as he comes to his senses, he develops the knowledge that he's not the enjoyer, for the only enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5:29. He is the beneficiary of all the results of sacrifices and penances, and he is the proprietor of all the three worlds. Sarva-loka-maheshwaram. He is the actual friend of all living entities. But instead of leaving proprietorship, enjoyment, and the actual position as the friend of all living entities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we claim that we are the proprietors, the enjoyers, and the friends. We perform philanthropic work, thinking we are the friends of human society. Someone may proclaim himself to be a very good national worker, the best friend of the people and of the country. But actually, he cannot be the greatest friend of everyone. The only friend is Krishna. One should try to raise the consciousness of the conditioned soul to the platform of understanding that Krishna is his actual friend. If one makes friendship with Krishna, one will never be cheated, and he will get all the help needed. Arousing this consciousness of the conditioned soul is the greatest service, not posing oneself as a great friend of another living entity. The power of friendship is limited. Although one claims to be a friend, he cannot be a friend unlimitedly. There are an unlimited amount of living entities, and our resources are limited. Therefore, we cannot be any real friend. We cannot be of any real benefit to the people in general. The best service to the people in general is to awaken them to Krishna consciousness so that they may know that the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, the supreme friend is Krishna. And then this illusory dream of lording it over material nature will vanish. Can you repeat? Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence. But because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existential condition does not cease. And just as in a dream, he is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. So this sounds presently, the material existential condition. So again, what does that mean? We just learned, what does it mean, existential?
And the relations to are grounded in or the experience of.
So again, it's really important because for those who just came in, I asked if this word existential was used in translating one of the words. I said, how many of you know what that means? Nobody raised their hand. So we looked it up with a little device that I'm suggesting very strongly that when you're reading either the translation of each word or in the purports or in the regular translation, and you come across the word that you don't know, just don't turn the page. Like, get it out of my way. No, we need to know each and every word. And then we will get the full Krishna conscious meaning and experience. Really important. So, how many people here dream? Have dreams? Well, a lot. I mean, how many people dream every day, every night? Not so many. How many people dream every day? We should all raise our hands. Unless we're fully conscious, every day is a dream. You understand? Because unless we're connecting to Krishna, that way we're fully awake. And if we're under our illusory energy, like trying to control my life, trying to control my family's life, my house, what's a dream? And Prabhupada always gives this example. In the dream, you see there's a tiger and he's stalking you. And you're frightened, you're fearful, you're running, and the tiger's right behind you, and all of a sudden you wake up. Oh my God. It's all over. So in the same way, our life and material existence is like that. It's a dream. It may seem very real. I'm touching everything, I'm feeling it, I'm talking to you. But unless I'm fully and 100% connected to Krishna, that dream element, that swapna is there. I find it kind of interesting that swapna is sometimes the name given to girls. And I'm like, why would you want to name your kid a dream? Wake them up from the dream. And in these dreams, sometimes it can be very nice. So nice to dream, and you kind of hear the alarm, or it's time to wake up. You don't want to wake up. It's such a nice dream. Have you had that experience? It's a pleasant dream. Well, guess what? It's still a dream. So there we are. We may be having this very nice material life. It's comfortable, or at least most of the time it seems very comfortable. But then if you dissect it, what do you have to do to maintain that foolish temporary comfort? I was visiting my daughter. I was last weekend was 50th anniversary of Teacher Story. I don't know if anybody here for that attend. Anyways, then from there I went to my daughter's place for Monday to Thursday. And so my daughter has a very nice material existence. But I'm just like watching what she has to do to deal with and maintain that very nice material existence. I mean, okay, she's got men who come in and take care of the lawn and the landscaping, and she's got 2 ladies that come in and clean up the house, and but then she has to deal with these people and tell them what to do, what not to do, They have property that they own and they have to maintain it. They have to deal with the people who are renting that property, so it's not like, oh, I have all this nice thing, I can just, you're just constantly, okay, what's next, in other words, there is nothing in this material world that's worth putting a whole lot of energy into. Of course, we have our families, we have our homes, we have our jobs or our school. Yeah, we do have to pay attention. We have to do our best to deal with it. But if we're thinking this is it, it's not it. It's a temporary situation. You have that verse in the Bible that tells about the twigs floating in the river. So all the twigs in the river, they kind of come together, or maybe some foam in the river comes together temporarily, right? So that's what's happening in our lives, and temporarily get this position, then the river comes and it's all thrown apart again. So what comes is like in our life, there's 4 certain things. What are those 4 things for sure? Okay. Yeah, it's our other mantra, right? I picked up on that right away. Okay, there's a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then there's this mantra. And sometimes you just, when you know something very well, it doesn't disturb you so much. But when it's like, what the nails on the blackboard means? They're awful, right? It's just like awful. So sometimes we're hearing things like birth, disease, and old age. It's like nails on the blackboard. That means because we're rebelling. We don't want to hear it because it's an inconvenience. If we understood it, if we were completely clear about that, it would not be such a problem. But right now, I just want to enjoy it a little bit, and this kind of pushes me against my comfort zone. I had the same experience yesterday. I had to drive from Lake Forest. It's about 22 miles, a little bit north and to the west of Chicago City. And I was leaving at such a time to try to avoid, I don't have to go right through the city, thank God, but you're on the whatever it was. And I left at such a time so I could avoid the heavy duty agitated driver traffic, the kind that gets on your rear end and honks their horn at you and just tailgates you like anything. So I kind of managed to plan it so I can avoid that. It was still intense. And then you get into Indiana and it's like, oh, and then, I was looking forward to Michigan. Because Michigan, okay, I'll get 94 and it'll just be a smooth ride. It's a beautiful day and it's going to be some rain, but no problem. Well, I had to do a 90-minute Zoom class. So I got into Michigan. It's a very nice welcome center. In the bathroom, they had real flowers. And I'm thinking, this is funny. This is a place to pee and food, and they had real flowers. How lovely. So I'm gonna, in my car, I set up to do the class. It's gonna be about 90 minutes. It's something I do every month. So we got through the class and the sun was still there, and I started to drive again, and then the phone, I didn't even get out of the rest area, the phone rings, and there was somebody in total anxiety, and I, on one hand, wanted to say, well, look, I'm real busy right now, Ken, but you know how it is if you're like in anxiety, and somebody said, they don't use this words, but what the words sound like, I don't have time for you right now. I'm busy right now. I'm sorry, can I call you later? It's like, so I pulled over, I reparked, and another 45 minutes went by. And then I get back out on the road, and I'm driving along, and it was nice. It's Michigan, All of a sudden, I start seeing ominous signs. Ominous signs that the motorway was going to be closed. Not just, like one lane, but sometimes you get that one, like right lane, left lane, the whole motorway closed. It's a joke. I mean, everything's okay. And then my GPS thing, Waze, I don't know how many of you use Waze. So then Waze started trying to get me off the motorway. And I'm like, and I have learned sometimes, or most of the time, Waze is right. If she's trying to get me off the motorway, probably I should get off. So finally, I pull off, and I'm seeing other people pulling off. Even the semis are pulling off. And we're in a total agricultural area, like huge agriculture, and on a little agricultural road, looking along and going right, going left, and then I see at one place there's a little town, and all these vehicles are coming, and nobody knows what to do. But there's a police lady, and she's directing everybody. Okay, you stop, you go, you stop. Just like working us through. And I'm not sure what I should do. And I pulled up, and sometimes they can be real nasty, like just move on, but I don't know where to go. And she was really nice. I said, I've lost word exactly. I don't know what to do right now. I said, should I turn there on this Route 8? And she goes, yes, it'll go parallel. I said, okay, I'm on that road going parallel. But all of a sudden the road ended. Should I turn right? Should I turn left? And I was remembering Srila Prabhupada getting off the Jaladua. And I didn't know what to do. Should I turn right? Should I turn left? So anyway, eventually after, I don't know how long it seemed like all day, I got back on motorway. And then what happens? The rain. At first it was little tiny sprinkles, and my windshield was a little dusty. So I was very happy. All of a sudden, it wasn't a little rain. It was like, you can't see, in some cars, the drivers are foolish to keep their lights off, right? So you're just like, I hope nobody's in front of me, because I can, if there is, you can barely see it, so that just puts an element of stress. And then, even though the motorway didn't close down, one thing after another, detour, a little like shift in the pattern, work was going on. My God, this whole trip, which should have been, if everything had gone right, including the Zoom class, would have been like maybe 7 hours, max 7.5. I mean, I had brought some salad for shot. It was so much anxiety, I couldn't even stop and eat, Well, finally, it was 9 hours. Like, where have I been? And I get to the house where I'm staying, very nice devotees. And I'm feeling like I'm standing out of the car, but I still feel like I'm just, like what it's like when you're just in such a condition. So that's material life. And I was laughing at myself, thinking, I thought I was going to enjoy this ride over here, It didn't seem like this would be a nice drive. And Krishna, wake up. We just really need to wake up. And when you're awake, even if it's what we consider materially awful, you understand it. And it's not the same experience as when you're upset because I can't enjoy this and it's interrupting my pleasant dream, So we need to be kind of aware of that dreamlike existence that we're in, one of the things that's interesting here, just in this whole, like in the previous chapter, what's going on here, is here, we have Shrimati Devi Bhuti who's being instructed, isn't it? I didn't. And Devi Bhuti was the wife of a great yogi. And she actually understood the conditional position of her existence. She understood it. And then she has this son. So who's her son? Yes. Who's Kapila? He's an incarnation of God. And so she's expressing, even though she understood her condition, like we all kind of understand to a certain, we get it, we're not the body. Does anybody here not believe that? Yes, we have that. But then, and what are we? Okay, we're spirit soul, we get that. To a certain, but do we have the full capacity of realization at this point? If we did, we wouldn't be having the daydreams. Our life would not be a dream, it would be a pure reality. So that's also her problem. So she's putting it to her teacher, and her teacher is who? Her son. Because Kapila Devi was her son, it doesn't mean that I'm the mother. How can I take instruction from my son? No, she doesn't deny this. She understood, what her son was, who he was. She wasn't like, he's my son, how can he instruct me? I'm his mother, I shall instruct. No, she understood that instruction must be taken from a person who's in knowledge. And it doesn't matter what the position of that person is. Whether he's a son or a boy, a Sudra, a Brahmana, sannyasi, grihastha, doesn't matter. You take instruction from a person who knows. Prabhupada sometimes he said he knows what's what. A person who's in knowledge. And this was actually the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was talking with Ramananda Roy. So this Ramananda Roy, by caste, he was a Sudra. So we have, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. So he was by caste a Sudra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had class Brahmana. And not only was he Brahmana, he was sannyasi. So that is, supposed to be the highest level. So from a social point of view, and also very learned scholar. And on top of that, he was so beautiful. Young man, exceedingly qualified. And here he's taking instruction from Ramananda Roy, the Sudra. He went out of his way to meet him. He had heard about him. Not only was he Sudra, he was grihastha, he was a politician, he was the governor of Madras, but he was exalted in spiritual knowledge. He had Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma then was being personalist. Sarvabhauma thought he was going to instruct Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was speaking to him, and Mahaprabhu did not say anything. And then Sarvabhauma, I wondered, what is this? You just saying, do you understand anything I'm telling you? Because I know the topic very well, but I don't understand what you're saying. So then Sarvabhauma was a little taken aback, and then you don't understand what I'm saying. Well, what do you have to say? And by that, hearing from the proper source, he accepted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his guru. He understood here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, he'd been impersonal, Mayavadi. The Mahaprabhu explained Vedanta Sutra in impersonal philosophy. So then he became convinced. So when Mahaprabhu, he was going to South India for touring, he asked to Sarvabhauma, I neglected this person, Ramananda Roy, who was talking with me about spiritual subject matter, very highly elevated. And I was thinking it was just the sentimentalist, so I neglected him. But now I understand, actually, it's a very exalted personality. So he told him, when you go, this was Sarvabhauma speaking to Lord Chaitanya. So when you go to South India, please meet him. Please try to meet him. You'll be very pleased. So on the request of his now disciple, Sarvabhauma, the former personalist, he went to Kabul and he met Ramananda Roy. And they were talking about spiritual subjects matters, very highly elevated. And Mahaprabhu was not hesitating. Who was hesitating? Ramananda Roy was hesitating because he's thinking, Mahaprabhu. I know what can I say? Mahaprabhu, no, speak. So this is it, that anyone who is qualified with Krishna consciousness, that person can become a guru. We can hear from that person. The Devaki, she was taking lessons from her son because he knew the science of Krishna. And it doesn't matter if it's your son or someone else, or someone in your family or Brahmana family, sannyasi. We are concerned with the science of Krishna. Prabhupada said, this is the Vedic system. Not that one is lower in estimation of society by birth or so on, but you must be qualified. And by qualified, we're not talking about like you're a qualified technician, you're a qualified as car repair mechanic. No, we're talking qualified for us means qualified in the science of God consciousness. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yea, Krishna Tattva Vedi, say you will accept anyone as a guru if he knows the science of Krishna. It's a very well-known verse from Bhajavila, the chapter. So, does the class end at 9? No, what is your ending time? No, okay, so sorry. I can end there, no problem. I can go on, no problem. So we make it end here. But just a point, why is it we have such difficult time understanding this? Simple that. What is our difficulty to understand this? There's a song, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Because little kids sing that song. Yeah. Merrily, merrily, for the fools. There's a saying, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So let's not be a fool. Let's not be in illusion or delusion about our real position. Life is a dream. Deep juggle. That's why we need to wake up and realize that we're dream. So what causes this condition? So we find from the second canto, 3rd chapter, 24 verse, very beautiful verse. Certainly that heart is steel framed, which in spite of chanting the holy name of the Lord, the concentration does not change when ecstasy takes place and tears fill the eye and hair stand on them. So our condition, steel framed heart, stone heart. So we have to deal with that, and we have to understand that. And then as we go about our daily services, our daily duties, our family duties, or so many duties, that's there. Nobody's saying stop it now and walk away. That's not our program. But our program, chief job of wake up and get rid of that steel frame that is causing us to be in this swapna, in this dream, the waking dream. Although we're not really awake. Hare Krishna. Anybody want to write time? Maybe share a little something, add a little something, yes.
Thank you so much. Looking back and in the beginning of class, you mentioned about Rupa Swami getting the Brahma Samhita,
Yes,
and I'm appreciating kind of Krishna's hand, being Maharaj as scholarly as he is. He put in that Brahma Samhita in his hands, and kind of he got attracted to such a wealth of knowledge or pool of knowledge that could just a small book like this is containing. So he was kind. I can imagine that how much Maharaj will be looking forward to knowing more in other bigger books.
and that's what happened.
That's what
But as I mentioned, it was like written in such a high level English, she had to have the dictionary. Right, sitting next to that book, he was going like he practically not one page math pass that he didn't look up a word. You know. So that's why if you can please remember anything from this class, just remember it's very important to understand the language. Prabhupada said he very deliberately, very carefully chose each word. You don't understand something. Open your dictionary, your e-dictionary on your phone, check it out so that you can understand.
And I wanted to ask you, what is the second part of Fools Russian and Angels?
Fools rush in where angels fear and tread.
Here to tread. Okay.
Yes, like here's a situation. It could be any situation. For us, it could maybe for normal, you know, when I say normal, it's not that we're not normal, but like, let's say for non-devotee karmis, if you will, you will run into a bar or something like that. But the angels, so we should identify with the angels, you know, we're not going to go there unless, of course, we have some preaching data. Srila Prabhupada told us. You see Nityananda going to a bar. Don't think he's going in there to drink. No, he's going in there to preach. But let's say you have some weakness. Maybe in the previous life you had some weakness. And you like, so it's not a good place for you to go preach. Otherwise, devotees can go anywhere fearlessly with the message of God.
Really want to appreciate the way you spoke. It's kind of so much realized knowledge and you have full understanding, and when you're speaking, it really touches someone's heart. It's kind of an example of Prabhupada always mentions, right? Like somebody who has lived the life, living by the example, living by the books, sharing something really touches someone's heart. So thank you.
Well, actually, I'm a fool. I'm like the rest of them. So there are so many angels in my life. Acknowledging. Wait a minute. You don't want to go there. And even then, sometimes I'm like, why are you doing that to me? But I have a good fortune, even though I get this inclination, like my sense gratification isn't like on the gross level, right? So like I thought I will enjoy the drive. Push that out of the way. And I notice it's like that so often, you know, I'm thinking something subtly, like, enjoy this, and man, no, you won't enjoy it. It's not for your enjoyment. And I'm going like, thank you, Krishna, for saving me. Even if it's just some innocent thing, you know, why do we need to be deviated? And now that I'm really, you know, it used to be, okay, I'm getting old. Now I am old. So like, you know, you realize, as they say, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered from the minute you're born. It's a fact. But like when you get up in age, it's a fact your days are numbered. And gotta be more careful. And if we don't start practicing at the young age, like here's a very nice young devotee, she's already practicing. And that's your good fortune, because it will give you a step up on life, on real life, as you go through all the things you have to go through in your growing up.
Out of the three, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, whom do you find first in sort of?
Jagannath. Why? Big round eyes, big red smile, so attractive. And then I see on the bottom, made in India. And it's like, so kind of foolish. I'm like, made in India. I mean, I can remember to this day how my mind went, oh, Swamiji's from India. Paula's from India. Maha Mantra's from India. Well, I'll take it. Had no idea. It was just like a little, wooden object.
That kind of started the whole revolution.
Yeah, but because there weren't any enlightened people except Srila Prabhupada, and it was very unlikely he would be going into this store. Krishna had to use whatever material he had on hand. So, somehow I got used in his service without even realizing. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Prabhupada, Gantaraj, Sri Mahadaya, Tom, Sri Mahadaya, Lord, and the other Lord.
Oh, anyone have any question on?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
The question is, when and where is Prasad? That you have a question? No, I'm asking. Okay.
So regarding the verse that you spoke, like, you were saying about how your drive was very smooth and all of a sudden it started raining. And even in our life, we say, we have a smooth journey, and all of a sudden we see some,
Everything's
yes,
offended.
ups and downs. So how do we, in spite of all that, how do we make ourselves steady in emotional service?
Well, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this short poem about chanting. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the essence is, like when you start to chant and distractions, and just keep on chanting. So in the same way, we just have to keep on trying. Things may get, I was going this way and now there's a detour. I sit down and cry. Do I bail out? Do I just, okay, that's it, I've had enough? No, you just keep on. To try to remember somehow Krishna's behind us. It's pretty hard to understand right now because frankly, it's just stressing me, it's like bewildering me. Somehow Krishna's there. I just need to keep on chanting and serving. And then somehow it becomes clear. You can see, wow, I really need, even if it's only to learn how to accept that Krishna's hand is behind whatever action. It's not, Krishna, why did you do this to me? I mean, that's not going to help us. Krishna, why did you do it? Sometimes, of course, you're going to feel like, oh my God. But if we say, okay, I didn't expect this, but I am somewhere, it's Krishna. Then we're also going to take the detour, walking with Krishna, following Krishna. And it makes it more bearable, even if it is, driving in that situation yesterday was extremely distressing. And I'm like, okay, Krishna, where are you? I know you're the color of that big black cloud. And then the road was getting so weird, and I'm like, this is not exactly like one of the dusty trails of Braj where Krishna's running with these cows, but it's like trying to remember. No, it's gonna happen. And then what happened yesterday was so, I get to this house and I was like, my body was kind of shaking, and I only had 30 minutes to eat something, so I had to eat something, take a shower, and put my sari on. And I said, I can't do this in 30 minutes. And he's saying, so can you just please call the person who's going to bring me and just say, add another 15 minutes. So that happened. And then I started feeling like, oh, I'm going to be late. And keeping the waiting, I was lamenting like that, but still I needed the time. So we arrived, it was in Troy. And what do I see? So many other devotees arriving. I know, and then I'm hearing there's a kirtan going on, when I stepped inside and I'm just, I don't know, just seeing all the devotees like I'm seeing you now. Was just like that whole day was finished. I don't even remember, I mean, remember it in terms of telling you, but the impression, the tension, it was all gone. Just bathed by the holy name and the beautiful smiling faces of Krishna's devotees. So always remember Krishna and remember its devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, you have it, great. Have you been reading it or you? That's so nice. I'm so just. Now I'm just like embarrassing at all. I remember you told me about this book. I know. I'm so happy to see these have. Yeah. AMKIT.